He disguised as janitor to test them, then fired all who failed. Eleanor Vance stood at the heart of the colossal boardroom, her gaze sweeping across the taut faces around the polished marble table. A weariness, born of months of quiet observation, seemed to have been erased from her features, replaced by a steel-like resolve. Her hands, those hands that had signed multi-million-dollar deals and built empires over decades, slowly clasped together. The air in the room was thick, almost palpable with unspoken tension. Though the meeting appeared to have just begun, for Eleanor, the game had already reached its end. "It seems we've arrived at the end of this particular game," Eleanor stated calmly, yet her voice resonated through the hushed space. It carried the weight of years of experience, an undeniable authority that few dared to challenge. At the head of the opulent leather table, her grandnephew, Jasper Thorne, regarded her with a sneer, a glint of insolence in his eyes. Beside him, Serafina Blackwood, the operations director, openly regarded the older woman with an expression bordering on contempt. They remained blissfully unaware. To them, the woman before them was merely the revered, yet aging and perhaps anachronistic, founder of Vance Holdings. "What game, Aunt Eleanor?" Jasper retorted mockingly, a clear note of irritation in his voice. "If you intend to lecture us with philosophical musings during one of our most crucial board meetings, I assure you, we simply don't have the time. Especially not when we need to discuss our new profit maximization strategies." Serafina nodded in agreement, her gaze fixed on Eleanor, as if trying to decipher the old woman's babbling. For them, Eleanor had been a mere figurehead for years, a ghost who had long since lost actual control of the company. Yet, a faint smile touched Eleanor's lips, a silent defiance against their derision. It was the smile of one who knew, who saw, who judged. "This game, Jasper," Eleanor said, her voice now turning to ice, "is the one you and Serafina have been playing for months. A game devoid of ethics, blinded by greed, and most importantly, a betrayal of everything upon which I built this company." Jasper's smirk slowly faded. Serafina's brows furrowed imperceptibly. The heavy weight of a truth known only to Eleanor began to settle over the room. And they, in their arrogance, were only just beginning to feel its destructive power. Eleanor's perspective, as if observing from above, controlled the entire scene, her thoughts shaping the unfolding drama. Eleanor Vance had dedicated the greater part of her 72 years to establishing Vance Holdings, becoming a respected titan in the real estate sector. Her endeavors extended far beyond constructing buildings. She had meticulously crafted an empire founded on unwavering ethical principles, genuine employee welfare, and a profound commitment to societal contribution. Vance Holdings was not merely a business to her, it was the embodiment of a life philosophy. Yet, in recent years, a gnawing unease had taken root within her. She sensed a gradual erosion of the company's core values, a pervasive shift where managers pursued profit above all else, straying irrevocably from the original tenets she had so carefully laid. This realization had birthed a deep, persistent disappointment within Eleanor. Her mind, a labyrinth of memories and observations, delved into the profound depths of her disillusionment. As Eleanor walked the familiar corridors of the company, she noticed the once vibrant spark of belonging and passion, visible in the faces of countless employees, had dimmed. It had been supplanted by a cold, calculating detachment, a profit-driven ruthlessness that chilled her to the bone. Her concern escalated particularly with the ascension of her grandnephew, Jasper Thorne, who was increasingly viewed as her successor. Jasper was undeniably ambitious, ruthlessly so, and utterly devoid of regard for the values Eleanor had so painstakingly cultivated. For him, every decision, every action, boiled down to one singular objective: securing the highest possible profit through the most expedient means. Serafina Blackwood, the company's new operations director, shared an identical mindset, even actively encouraging Jasper down this treacherous path. Seraphina's gaze saw only numbers, not the worried creases on faces, nor the fragile spirits within her workforce. One afternoon, seated in her opulent top-floor office at the company headquarters, Eleanor gazed out through the expansive glass, down at the colossal skyscrapers she had brought into existence. These towering structures, once the tangible manifestation of her ideals, now seemed to her like cold, soulless monuments, exploiting the very souls of the people who labored within them, transformed into mere instruments for accumulating wealth. "This cannot stand," she whispered to herself, the words a raw protest against the desecration of her legacy. "I cannot permit my heritage to be sullied in this manner." Her trust had been shattered, yes, but simultaneously, a bold, audacious plan began to coalesce within her brilliant mind. She yearned to witness people's true faces, to discern the genuine intentions hidden beneath their carefully constructed masks. The plan was radical, audacious, a testament to Eleanor's sharp intellect and unyielding determination. She would assume the guise of Elsie, an elderly, unassuming cleaning lady. This disguise would afford her an unprecedented opportunity to infiltrate the company's lowest echelons, to observe firsthand the unvarnished reality of what transpired within its walls. As a cleaner, she would become privy to conversations managers held, believing themselves unheard or unnoticed. She would experience firsthand how people treated someone they deemed insignificant. Eleanor embarked upon this role with meticulous preparation. Her entire wardrobe underwent a radical transformation. Her expensive designer garments were set aside, replaced by old, faded, comfortable yet utterly unostentatious clothes. Her silver hair was artfully styled into a simple, severe bun, and her face was subtly made up to emphasize age spots and wrinkles, adding to her elderly appearance. She altered her gait, slowing her pace, introducing a slight stoop to her posture. Even her manner of speaking was adjusted, she adopted a softer, more diffident tone, carefully suppressing her natural commanding presence. For several weeks, she even immersed herself among genuine cleaning staff, observing their daily routines, the challenges they faced, and how they were treated by others. The character of Elsie was not merely a disguise, it was to be a temporary way of life. This intricate plan transcended the bounds of a mere test. It was a crucible for her own spirit, and for the very soul of the empire she had painstakingly forged. She desperately sought to ascertain whether her company still clung to its founding principles. If the insatiable hunger for profit had utterly annihilated its humanity, Eleanor had no intention of remaining a passive spectator. She would become Elsie for a profound rescue mission, to feel the company's pulse once more, to cleanse its corrupted arteries. And throughout this arduous process, the most crucial question reverberated within her: how would true character reveal itself in the shadows, unobserved and unadorned? Elsie's initial days at Vance Holdings unfolded precisely as Eleanor had anticipated, attracting virtually no attention. Dressed in her unassuming gray uniform, mop and bucket in hand, she navigated the labyrinthine corridors, largely ignored by the majority of the executives. It was as if she were an integral part of the wall, an invisible fixture. This initial anonymity served as the first clear indication of her plan's efficacy. By remaining unseen, she would be able to perceive everyone's true, unmasked countenances. Her first encounters with Jasper and Seraphina unequivocally revealed their utter disrespect for Elsie, their dismissive attitudes, and their general disdain for the company's lower-tier employees. One afternoon, as Elsie meticulously cleaned offices on the executive floor, she overheard Jasper speaking loudly on the phone with Seraphina. Jasper was discussing cost-cutting measures for a new real estate project. "You know, Seraphina," Jasper's voice boomed, echoing off the office walls, "we need to save a bit on the window frames in this new tower. Clients look at aesthetics, not quality. People won't even notice." Elsie couldn't discern Seraphina's reply, but Jasper's booming laughter twisted Elsie's heart into a knot. "Eleanor, from within, could scarcely believe that her own company would so casually jeopardize the safety and integrity of its buildings. This was not merely a cost-cutting measure, it was a profound deviation from a fundamental moral principle she had always upheld. Elsie, her cloth wiping a desk, struggled to quell the storm raging within her. Jasper, meanwhile, had not even for a moment registered Elsie's presence. Or if he had, he simply wouldn't have cared. She was, after all, merely a cleaner, a fly on the wall. On another occasion, while Elsie took her lunch break in the company cafeteria, she overheard Serafina conversing with a group of mid-level managers. Serafina was elaborating on a new bonus system. "From now on, we'll be tracking employee performance much more rigorously," she stated, her voice devoid of warmth, "and, of course, only those who achieve the highest sales figures will be eligible for bonuses. The others? If their motivation plummets, so be it. Our priority is the top 10%. Lower tiers are easily replaceable." As Elsie chewed her humble sandwich, she contemplated the devastating impact Serafina's words would have on the workforce. Eleanor, within her, could not tolerate such a devaluing of human labor within her own company. This was in direct opposition to her lifelong tenet: employees are the company's most valuable asset. Serafina's eyes saw only numbers and profit maximization. Human faces, their families, or their aspirations were entirely absent from her vision. Jasper and Serafina's condescending treatment of Elsie escalated with each passing day. Once, when Elsie accidentally spilled a little coffee on the carpet in front of Jasper's office, he had bellowed, "Are you blind, woman? Where did you leave your eyes?" Serafina, without once making eye contact, had waved her hand dismissively, barking, "Wipe those dust motes, but quickly, we have work to do." Such minor, yet constant, humiliations fueled a simmering rage within Eleanor. They could never have fathomed the power and intellect concealed beneath Elsie's seemingly aged and vulnerable exterior. The narrative, during these scenes, consistently reminded the reader of the crushing irony of Jasper and Serafina's arrogance and blindness. They were committing their transgressions under the very gaze of their most dangerous judge. Yet, within this increasingly dark tapestry, Elsie encountered an unexpected beacon of light: Rhys Merritt, a young and idealistic architect. Rhys, in his early 30s, possessed bright, observant eyes, a perpetually disheveled mop of hair, and an ever-present sketchpad clutched in his hand. Elsie first met him one Friday evening, in a nearly deserted office. As Elsie mopped the floors, Rhys remained diligently at his desk, engrossed in a new design draft. Rhys, noticing her, offered Elsie a sandwich. "It's late, Elsie. You probably haven't eaten yet. I made this sandwich for myself, but I can certainly share half with you." Elsie was genuinely taken aback. For days, no one had offered her even a simple hello. Rhys's voice was gentle, and his eyes shone with genuine sincerity. Elsie accepted the sandwich, settling onto a small chair beside him. Rhys began to converse with Elsie. Unlike the other executives, he listened attentively, asked her questions, and clearly valued her responses. On one occasion, Rhys voiced his concerns about the energy efficiency of a building he was designing. "The executives want us to use the cheapest materials to cut costs, Elsie," he lamented, his voice tinged with disappointment. "But I want the buildings we construct to serve people not just today, but well into the future. Sustainability is paramount to me." Elsie perceived the passion and honesty in Rhys's eyes. He reminded her, vividly, of her own younger self. Elsie shared an old saying from a master builder she had once known: "What is cheap costs twice as much." You must lay solid foundations, not just erect walls. Rhys seemed inspired by Elsie's simple wisdom, jotting something down in his notebook. "Thank you, Elsie," he said. Sometimes, the simplest wisdom is the most valuable. As Eleanor observed Rhys's demeanor, she glimpsed a flicker of hope that still resided within her company. Rhys's respect for Elsie transcended mere politeness. It emanated from the profound depths of his character. Another day, Elsie struggled to carry a heavy box from the office supplies storage. Jasper and Serafina strode past her in the corridor, ignoring Elsie completely, engrossed in their own laughter. But Rhys, emerging from his office, immediately noticed. "Elsie, please wait, let me help you," he offered, easily lifting the heavy box and carrying it to Elsie's destination. "You're too old for this, Elsie, you must take care of yourself," he added, a genuine smile gracing his lips. Elsie was profoundly touched by Rhys's helpfulness. This was not merely carrying a box, it was an act of profound human kindness extended to an elderly woman. As Elsie observed Rhys, she noticed his consistent respect and fairness, not only towards her but towards other lower-tier employees as well. She once witnessed him patiently correcting a mistake made by a young intern. Where another manager would likely have chastised the intern, Rhys viewed the error as a valuable learning opportunity. This stark contrast allowed Eleanor to solidify her final decision regarding the company's future and the fate of its disloyal figures. Jasper and Serafina's rampant greed and cruelty stood in stark juxtaposition to Rhys's pure goodness and empathy. Eleanor knew the purpose of her test had been fully served. The masks had fallen, and she had unequivocally seen who truly embodied the values of Vance Holdings. And now, the time had arrived to commence the final act of her meticulously orchestrated play. The narrative, in presenting these scenes, underscored Eleanor's inner judge sharpening her resolve with each passing day, the scales of justice slowly, inexorably, tilting into their rightful place. Vance Holdings' annual shareholders' meeting stood as one of the company's most pivotal events. The luxurious, glass-walled conference room, offering panoramic city views, hosted the city's most influential business magnates. Everyone present eagerly anticipated hearing about the company's new strategies and future projects. Jasper Thorne, radiating self-assurance, stepped onto the podium to deliver the opening address, a confident smile plastered across his face. Beside him, Serafina Blackwood stood elegantly poised in impeccably tailored attire, a look of smug pride on her features. They truly believed they were at the pinnacle of their power. Just as Jasper began, Vance Holdings' incredible achievements this year have been. The main doors of the grand hall slowly, deliberately swung open. The figure who entered brought the entire room to a sudden, stunned halt. It was Eleanor Vance. Yet, this was no ordinary entrance. Eleanor stood impeccably dressed in a refined navy suit, her hair perfectly coiffed, her face bearing the wisdom of years, yet radiating a sharp, unyielding determination. Behind her, her esteemed attorney, Mr. Davies, and several security personnel stood quietly. Eleanor had just alighted from a luxurious Rolls-Royce parked outside the meeting room. The car itself silently proclaimed her true status and immense power. The hushed whispers that had filled the room instantly died. Jasper's voice caught in his throat, his confident smile replaced by an expression of profound bewilderment. Serafina's eyes widened, as if she had witnessed a specter. The undeniable weight of Eleanor's authority descended upon the room. No one had anticipated her presence. For months, rumors had circulated that she had withdrawn from company affairs, resting due to her advanced age. Eleanor advanced slowly, purposefully, towards the podium, her gaze fixed directly upon Jasper and Serafina. Curious and astonished glances followed her from every corner of the hall. Rhys Merritt was also present, looking as shocked as everyone else. But on Rhys's face, a slow dawning of realization began to stir. That kind, elderly cleaning lady, Elsie, could it possibly be her? Upon reaching the podium, Eleanor reached for the microphone. Jasper, his voice trembling, managed to stammer, "Aunt Eleanor, what are you doing? This is a board meeting. Eleanor looked at him, her eyes devoid of pity, holding only an unyielding judgment. Yes, Jasper, Eleanor stated, her voice echoing throughout the hall, and I am the founder of this company. And now, it is time to announce a crucial decision regarding its future. Eleanor surveyed each shareholder in the room, then returned her gaze to Jasper and Serafina. For months, she began, her voice rising slightly, I infiltrated the very heart of this company. Not as Eleanor Vance, but as Elsie, a cleaner. And during that time, I witnessed, with my own eyes, what was truly happening. Jasper and Serafina's faces turned stark white. Shock had given way to unadulterated fear. Their eyes, wide with terror, darted towards each other. Elsie. That old, simple woman. I saw, Eleanor continued, her voice hardening further, that the fundamental values of our company have been trampled underfoot. The hunger for profit has superseded ethical principles. Employee welfare has been disregarded. Quality and safety have been compromised. And all of this has been done for the personal gain of a mere few. Jasper attempted to shout, this is a lie. This is slander. His voice wavered uncontrollably. Serafina also tried to deny, shaking her head, but the panic in her eyes betrayed everything. Eleanor raised her hand, silencing them. No, Jasper. These are not lies. These are truths I personally witnessed. I heard everything, from the savings on window frames to the brutal cuts in employee bonuses. And most importantly, I personally experienced how contemptuously and disparagingly one is treated, simply because their position is deemed subordinate. Eleanor's gaze, at that moment, settled squarely on Serafina. Serafina's face flushed crimson. Rhys Merritt, seated in his chair in the hall, listened to the entire unfolding drama, transfixed. His initial shock slowly transformed into a profound sense of reverence. Elsie. That kind, wise cleaning lady was Eleanor Vance. The thought reverberated through Rhys's mind. He closed and opened his eyes, remembering the simple yet profound wisdom Elsie had imparted to him. In that moment, he fully comprehended that Elsie was, in fact, Eleanor Vance. A wave of warmth and gratitude enveloped him. Eleanor Vance had built not only buildings for her company but also a soul and a conscience. And now, she had returned to rescue that very soul. The narrator, at this climax, emphasized the grandeur of this drama, which Eleanor had silently orchestrated from behind the scenes, now stepping onto the stage as all masks fell away. Everything had unfolded precisely as Eleanor had meticulously planned. Eleanor's revelation had detonated like an atomic bomb within the meeting hall. Following the initial shock, a cacophony of whispers and murmurs filled the room. Shareholders exchanged bewildered glances, struggling to reconcile what they had heard. Yet, Eleanor's composed demeanor and the visible presence of her attorney confirmed the grave seriousness of the situation. Eleanor turned her gaze directly to Jasper and Serafina. Mr. Davies, please initiate the necessary legal proceedings. Her attorney, producing several documents from his briefcase, placed them on the table. Jasper Thorne, Eleanor stated, her voice icy, you are immediately dismissed from all your duties at Vance Holdings. Legal action will be commenced regarding charges of using company assets for personal gain, failing to adhere to ethical standards, and abuse of power. Your shares in the company have also been frozen. Jasper's face turned ashen. This is impossible. You have no right, he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. But the expression on Eleanor's face left no room for argument. He knew she had seen everything, known everything. The promising heir's downfall was agonizingly swift and absolute. Security personnel began to move towards Jasper. He tried to protest, but words choked in his throat. On his face, arrogance had given way to profound desperation. Within minutes, the once proud grandnephew was virtually dragged from the meeting hall, his career and reputation shattered beyond repair. Then came Seraphina Blackwood's turn. Eleanor announced, "Seraphina Blackwood, you are also immediately dismissed from your position as operations director. An investigation will be launched concerning charges of manipulating company policies, disregarding employee welfare, and collaborating with Jasper to cause financial harm to the company. Furthermore, legal processes related to internal corruption will proceed rapidly." Seraphina, her eyes wild, stared at Eleanor. "You can't do this to us. We made you so much money," she shrieked. Eleanor's reply was calm but definitive, "Your gains corrupted the soul of my company. And I will not permit that." Seraphina, like Jasper, was escorted out of the room by security personnel. In a state of shock and fury, the arrogant expression on her face had completely disintegrated. They had seen Eleanor only as an old woman, but she possessed the patience of a lioness and the power of a queen. Their downfall was the bitter fruit of Eleanor's months of patient observation and meticulously executed secret plan. Across the room, Rhys Merritt remained frozen in his seat. The initial shock within him slowly transformed into a burgeoning elation. Elsie. That kind, wise cleaning lady was Eleanor Vance. The realization resonated through Rhys's mind. As Eleanor's eyes swept across the room, they paused on Rhys. A faint smile touched her lips. "Mr. Rhys Merritt," Eleanor called out, her voice gentle yet still resolute. Rhys, startled, rose to his feet. "Please come forward, Mr. Merritt." Rhys, his steps hesitant and somewhat abashed, walked towards the podium. He had no idea what was to unfold. Eleanor placed a hand on Rhys's shoulder. "Mr. Merritt," she said, "you are one of the few individuals who still embody the fundamental values of Vance Holdings. Your honesty, your capacity for empathy, and your respect for humanity have, for months, offered me immense hope. Our company desperately needs ethical, idealistic, and morally sound leaders like you." Rhys, tears welling in his eyes, looked at Eleanor. These words were the reward for his years of quiet struggle and his unwavering dedication to maintaining his integrity. Eleanor turned to the assembled crowd. "From this moment forward," she declared, "Rhys Merritt is appointed as the new head of Vance Holdings' Sustainable Architecture and Development Department. This department will ensure that all future company projects prioritize ethics, sustainability, and employee welfare. Furthermore, Mr. Merritt will be awarded a substantial bonus and a significant share of company stock for his crucial contributions during this transitional period and for his pivotal role in preserving the company's soul." The hall erupted into thunderous applause. Many shareholders, having witnessed the previous ethical decay, vocally supported Eleanor's radical yet profoundly just decision. Rhys looked at Eleanor, his eyes brimming with gratitude. Words caught in his throat. "Thank you, Miss Vance," he whispered. This is an honor I could never have dreamed of." Eleanor smiled. "No, Mr. Merritt," she said, "this is a reward you have earned. Because you chose to be a light, even in the darkest corners." Rhys knew that his life had been irrevocably altered, simply by the small acts of kindness he had shown to an old cleaning lady named Elsie, just a few months prior. A home he could never have imagined, a significant sum of money, a dream job, all were the cumulative result of those seemingly insignificant acts of goodness. The narrative presented this section as a deeply satisfying portrayal of justice served, a tableau where wrongdoers met their deserved fate, and kindness unexpectedly ascended to triumph. Months had elapsed since the dramatic events unfolded. Vance Holdings, under Eleanor Vance's decisive leadership and Rhys Merritt's innovative contributions, was undergoing a profound transformation. The company was diligently rectifying the damages inflicted by Jasper and Serafina, steadfastly returning to its core ethical values, and meticulously rebuilding the trust of its employees. Reese's Sustainable Architecture and Development Department had swiftly become the company's flagship initiative. Buildings were no longer designed solely with aesthetics and profit in mind, they were conceived as environmentally conscious, energy-efficient projects that prioritized the well-being of their future occupants. Reese flourished in his new role, finding immense satisfaction in converting his ideals into tangible, impactful projects. He remained as humble and respectful as ever, yet now radiated a quiet confidence, inspiring those around him. A renewed sense of hope and belonging permeated the company corridors once more. Eleanor Vance had returned to her cherished top-floor office at Vance Holdings. Yet, the atmosphere within her room was palpably different now. As she gazed out her window at the sprawling city below, a profound sense of peace settled upon her features. Her legacy was secure. Her company had been rescued. The anxieties that had plagued her for years had finally dissipated. Jasper and Serafina's downfall, meanwhile, had become a cautionary tale. The lawsuits against them continued, their former opulent lives reduced to mere, distant memories. Their reputations were irrevocably shattered, their fortunes depleted. When Eleanor considered their fate, she felt no remorse. They were merely reaping the bitter consequences of their own choices. One afternoon, Reese Merritt arrived at Eleanor's office. He no longer addressed Eleanor as Elsie, yet the bond between them transcended professional respect. "Ms. Vance," Reese began, "we've finalized the initial blueprints for the new project. We've managed to reduce energy consumption by 30%, and we've designed significantly better living spaces for all employees." Eleanor smiled, a genuine warmth in her eyes. "Excellent work, Reese," she commended. "I am truly proud of you." Reese, his eyes still holding that pure goodness she had first seen, looked at Eleanor. "Ms. Vance, everything is thanks to you. From that sandwich you offered, to helping me carry that box, everything. I will never forget the lesson you taught me." Eleanor clasped Reese's hand warmly. "No, Reese," she corrected softly, "you taught me that humanity and kindness still exist, even in the most unexpected places." As Eleanor watched Reese depart her office, she reflected once more on the ultimate lesson she had sought to impart. Character, she believed, truly revealed itself in the shadows, during difficult times, or in moments when one believed no one was observing. Jasper and Serafina, ensnared by the allure of power and money, had lost their very humanity. Reese, however, despite his own challenges, had consistently chosen to extend kindness and empathy to others. This had allowed him to gain not merely a career, but a profound richness of spirit. Goodness, she knew, always finds its recompense. Perhaps not immediately, perhaps in an entirely unexpected manner. But sooner or later, the seeds of kindness one plants return, often when one needs them most. And Eleanor Vance, in the autumn of her life, was filled with the profound peace of witnessing this universal truth manifest before her. Her legacy comprised not merely buildings, but also the enduring seeds of goodness and morality. Did this story resonate with you? Did Eleanor Vance's audacious plan and Reese Merritt's integrity inspire you? You can find many more surprising and insightful stories like this on our channel. To ensure you don't miss out on life lessons filled with unexpected twists and revealing human truths, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. So, what are your thoughts on this story? 1. Do you think Eleanor Vance was right to resort to such a radical method? Could she have chosen another path? 2. Do you believe Jasper and Serafina's ending was fair? What lesson would you take away if you were in their shoes? 3. What did Reese Merritt's story teach you? Can small acts of kindness truly make a significant difference? We look forward to reading your comments.